After installing a pair of recliners in place of the sofa on my 29.3, I decided to move the TV, put it over the exterior door so that when you're sitting in the recliners and also in the driver's seat, when it's swiveled, you can face directly at the TV. First thing I did was take a scrap piece of hood liner I had left over, which is a foam insulation, and put a layer up inside the window with the foil side out. I used the foam because it's flexible and it can snap it in real easy. And then I put another layer of, I think it's about 1 inch thick, styrofoam, just pieced it in to fill that window up. Then I made a 3/4 inch thick picture frame to go around the window, and the purpose of that was to shim out for the frame so that anything else I put over it would pass over the window. The picture frame that I put up, I forgot to mention it, that I attached that with self-drilling screws, 4 of them, and they are drilled into the steel stud or channel or tubing that runs up in the wall down each side of the doorway. That's going to be the basis to hold all of this stuff on here. It's very sturdy. After I got the picture frame up, then I ripped a 1x4, took about 1.25 inches, stapled it to the top. That's just a shim. You'll see later what that's for. And the remainder of the rip I placed down near the top of the opening. This is going to be what the top of the television secures to. I left this slot here for a wire chase, and that creates the purpose of this the lumber I'm just putting on here is to create this chaseway along here, and I can drill into this cabinet and run the wires over into another box I'm going to install in here that has some HDMI switching and a inverter and power switch for the inverter and a selector switch between inverter and 120. Next step was to put on a 1/2 inch by 5.5 inch trim on top of the picture framing and butt it up against the 1x4 that I'd ripped down and stapled across the top. Purpose of this was to cover the window opening up so that when I put the TV over it, you wouldn't see any exposed window from around the edges. Kind of a skirt to go around the side. Prepped the TV for install. I bought some flat bar. I think it's about 1 inch wide and 3/16 thick, and then drilled holes to meet the mounting holes. Screwed that to the original TV mounts, and then drilled and countersunk some holes on the ends to mount up on the top. I haven't tried it yet. Hopefully it'll be sturdy and won't jiggle. It drives me crazy when something rattles going down the road. I've now hung the TV up on there. It was a little difficult doing it by myself, so I laid out the bottom screw locations and pre-drilled some holes there. It took a little while to figure all that out. But that let me pick it up and set the screws in there easily. And once those 2 bottom screws are in, then all the weight's off of it and it's easy to maneuver. And then I just went up top and put 2 screws in the top. Ran the wire after I mounted the TV through the chase holes or chaseways. Get up there close enough where you can see it. And also used some plumber's tape to strap them down so they wouldn't get pinched when I put the covers on them. The 2 wires that are out are the power and optical cord to the sound bar that I haven't installed yet. When it comes time to hook up down below, it was a little tough getting up under here to hook up the wires. So once I had all 4 screws in, then I could take the 2 bottom ones loose, and this will flex out quite easily, get up in there and hook everything up, and then put your 2 screws back in. After completing the wire install and hookup, I ran a 1/2 inch by 5.5 inch piece of poplar on each side over here. Has a small gap in the middle where I could feed the wires back in. So there's a piece over here and a piece over here with about a 1 inch gap in the middle to allow the wires to go back in for the sound bar. Anyway, that's what it looks like with the sound bar hooked up. And I've got I was worried about restriction over here, but I can get my hand in here fairly easily and still manipulate the controls and read everything okay. So that worked out. And over here is where I moved all of the electrical components. This right here is the inverter. It's about a 400 or so watt point of use inverter. These two switches here and here allow for switching of the HDMI signal. The one on the left there takes the input from iPhone, iPad hookup, and the DVR that's mounted down here, or DVD that's mounted down here, and allows me to choose by pushing that button which one I want to pass through, and it goes to this switch, and depending on which position of the switch I choose, I'll either run the signal to the TV above the door or the exterior TV. This switch over here, the bottom one, is on and off for the inverter. I didn't want the inverter to run all the time. And that one there selects between coach 120 volt and the inverter. It's a double pole, double throw, 3-position switch. So most of that I had already. I just moved it from the other location, original location. Now that leaves this to deal with. All the holes and stuff from the old TV. So I think what we're going to do is move the receptacle down and put a rack up there for wine bottles.